Hello again from the Granite State. My name is Gary, and this is the Restoring Main Street podcast. As always, thank you for joining me. Going to do things, I guess, slightly different tonight. The beginning and the transition, some of that stuff you're going to recognize or whatever, but I'm not always... I've played clips before from other people's programming, as you can imagine. You know, I don't have a huge and exhaustive research staff. You're looking at it, and so a lot of times when I'm looking over things or wondering, you know, what I should share with you, the first thought that comes to mind is relevance to you. Like I said, this program is called Restoring Main Street. I feel like that encompasses an awful lot of things because I see it as a point of view from, like I said, from my childhood of an idyllic community, or at least what you see as an idyllic community. But it's gotten to the point now with things that are happening, you know, in your own hometown, or you know, around the United States, around the world, that I've adopted the phrase that let's try and at least preserve Main Street first, and then we can see about potentially restoring it. So a lot of the stuff that I decide to discuss and look at, like I said, is from the perspective of how it impacts you. So I want to cover a couple of things. I'm going to play a couple of clips tonight, and you know, one of them's kind of lengthy. It's about 15 minutes in length. Both are pretty much from the same source, the same program, and there's a reason for that. You might want to ask yourself why. That's the big question. Why? Why am I using this particular source, or why is this is the only place I could seem to find this information? That will be enlightening for you. That will be something, like I said, I'm hoping that will stir you and cause you to question, and maybe, if you haven't realized it already, realize the times we're living in, the season that it is, as far as, well, it's my perspective, but it's a whole lot more than just myself with the same opinion. So, you know what? With that in mind, let's try to get the program started here. So. And there we go. So like I said, I want to play a couple of different clips for you tonight. I want you to do your best to listen. Like I said, unfortunately, what I seem to find today is a lot of the stuff that I look at and catches my eye and feels to me to be very much relevant, and I think would be relevant to you, is a lot of times coming from a source that maybe, you know, a lot of people have already demonized, that they're not willing to, you know, just give the benefit of the doubt and then just listen, and then perhaps, you know, go and investigate it on your own to clarify and verify. I never suggest that you take me 100% at my word. I would prefer that if this provokes you, that you would go and search out some of the things that I discuss. I've made it a habit over the podcasts. I've been doing this now for at least the last 20 podcasts, or maybe it's smaller amount, maybe it's 15. I don't know, but I try to add the links to this information so you can go check it out yourself. And then if you want to search someplace else for another source to try and confirm that, something that makes you feel better in your verification or more comfortable, I have absolutely no problem with that. And I would hope that's what you would do. So, title of tonight's program is, Did You See That? And then the response is, well, if you didn't, why not? So with that lead in, I think I've prepped you enough. Let me transition and let me play. This first clip is a little bit lengthy. It's close to 15 minutes. And I would ask for your indulgence and listen to the whole clip. And then you'll see perhaps why I've asked the question.
I want to show you some video here. This is a protest in Paris. How would you describe that, Stu?
Very large.
Very large. Very, very large.
Tens of thousands at least.
Tens of thousands. It seems to go on forever. Okay? This is not from the BBC. This isn't on Reuters. This isn't the AP. This isn't on CNN. This is nowhere. Same look at Paris, different place, different day. What do you have here? Another riot on the street. Okay? This is not Antifa. This is a group of regular people. Okay, try this one on. Cut 10, please. And what are they chanting? Thousands of people. Again, different day, different street. Paris. They are chanting liberty. That's what they're chanting. Why isn't this on the front page of the New York Times? I mean, I know that everybody carried Martin Luther King. Everyone, all around the world. The United States carried Gandhi and his protests. You know, because I've been in South Africa and they hated me in South Africa. And I was like, how do you even know me? Because the world covered the Tea Party to make sure the world knew we were the bad guys. Why? Why do I have to go to an Indian news outlet to cover the protests in London? Why? Oh, that's not it. When I come back, I'm gonna show you the protests all over the world that you don't know are going on. And what is it that they're protesting? Exactly what you are protesting. I'll explain coming up in just a minute. I was just showing you the people that are on the streets in London and in Paris. What are they protesting? They are protesting the things that we should be a little upset about. They are protesting in England about what the Bank of England is doing to their money. They are protesting not only in Paris and England about inflation, but also the cost of gasoline and oil. Here, let me show you another one. This is cut 11. This is Brussels. This is the head of the EU. Look at this. Day of justice. Day of justice. Day of justice. What are they chanting? We want justice. Justice.
Day of justice.
Okay. That is in Brussels. Chanting justice. Justice. What kind of justice is it? How about the protest cut 12 in Berlin? Looks like a peaceful crowd there, just walking in the streets. What are they upset about? It is the unrest of inflation, energy, food prices, COVID mandates, WEF power grabs disguised as climate policies. You would think this would be a big story, but no, the press yesterday didn't cover the hundreds of thousands of people on the street. Instead, they covered a guy in a dress who was spray painting an Aston Martin showroom to protest climate change. They haven't even shown the kids in Scotland and in the UK going into stores and just dumping milk because of environment. Cows are bad. Europe is about to freeze this winter. It is leading the way in recession and food prices. It's worse over there than it is here. Millions of people are going to be impoverished by this just in Europe, and hundreds of millions over the rest of the world. Shouldn't our mainstream media be on the streets covering these things? Shouldn't you know that the UN and the EU is telling Sweden, you can't drop your aid? Sweden gives 1% of their GDP, or their GNI, gross national income. They give 1% to the world. Here. They said, we can't do it anymore. We have got to take care of ourselves. The EU and the UN are pushing back. How about this one? This one comes from Germany. Health Minister Karl Lauterbach warns that hospitals could go bankrupt in the course of this energy and inflation crisis. He said yesterday, you have to react quickly and drastically. The real danger, the hospital will soon go bankrupt as a result of the energy and inflation crisis. If we don't react quickly and really drastically, there will be closures. Now, the finance minister said we can't have a special fund for everything. We can't introduce a special fund for every area. You have to be careful. Everything has to be paid for. So here's Germany saying their hospitals are going to go under, and the finance minister saying we don't have any money. Okay, while we're on the topic of having lots of money and hospitals, the Biden administration has just announced the expansion of taxpayer-funded gender-affirming health care for transgender and gender-diverse federal employees. Beginning next year, all providers will be required to have adopted one or more recognized entities. Among the approved entities are the World Professional Association of Transgender Health Standards of Care. This is the one that is in trouble because they've just removed the minimum age recommendations. But you will be paying for it. And by the way, under the umbrella, of gender care, they've also expanded to all gender non-conforming identities, which will include eunuchs, the guys who have their twigs and berries removed because they want to just do that. Okay. All right. But we have plenty of money. And by the way, we even have enough money. The student loan forgiveness, which the Democrats know is unconstitutional. Nancy Pelosi said it. Joe Biden said it. Barack Obama said it. He has no constitutional authority to do this. Yesterday, it's fast, it's easy, and it takes less than 5 minutes. It's a game changer for millions of Americans to get moving. It's going to cancel $10,000 in debt for those earning less than $125,000 per year and $20,000 for those who received Pell Grants. Well, that's fantastic. Borrowers need not what's known as an FSA ID to log on to the application, nor will they need to upload any documents, including any tax records. Instead of having to provide documents that verify that you as an individual earned less than $125,000 in 2020, the application just asks borrowers to check a box. Is that true? Are you really that? That's it. No problem. We got plenty of money. We have plenty of money. By the way, the French government in talks now about crisis, meeting with their senior ministers about having enough money to be able to help people heat their homes. While we're here, the Biden administration is moving towards a release of another 10 million to 15 million barrels of oil from the nation's emergency stockpile. We're selling it, a lot of it, to China. To China. This would be the latest tranche of a 180 million barrel program that began in the spring. Heading into this winter, the U.S. has the lowest seasonal inventories of diesel, according to data first compiled in 1982. So we're at an all-time high, and we start compiling in 1982. By the way, Top Energy Advisor is also arguing now in favor of new export controls the government's putting on. Now, the Energy Secretary has said, well, I have a few concerns with this, but not to worry. They're going to get Exxon and ConocoPhillips. They have been notified of what they have to do. Now, they say that by limiting fuel exports, it's going to lead to higher prices in parts of the U.S., particularly in the import-reliant Northeast. But who lives in the Northeast? There's almost nobody. It might as well be the northern regions of Canada. Who needs oil there? By the way, the EU is beefing up their infrastructure protection. Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine has brought a new set of threats, often combined as a hybrid attack. Have we done anything with our electrical grid? Have we? We've been talking about this forever. What are we doing? Are we spending money there? No. We got to give people trans surgeries. Oh, well, we got plenty of money. Really? I thought the cupboard was bare, Nancy Pelosi. The president said there's nothing that we can cut. Really? How about this? We've already depleted our oil supply. We no longer can help Europe. We can't help Europe. There's nothing left for us. If we send them our oil, if we send them our money, if we send them our food, it will hurt America. Notice every other Western country is preparing. No. Joseph, what's that dream? It's going to last forever. It's going to be good. We're not preparing at all. What we are doing is we're sending billions of dollars in military aid to Ukraine. Now, we're not just sending them dollars. We're also sending them weapons and ammunitions. I just want to quote, U.S. stockpiles of munitions are becoming dangerously depleted, and it will take years for U.S. production capacity to catch up. So in other words, we are running out of weapons and ammunition because we're sending them all to a foreign country. Biden said, don't worry about it. We have no howitzers left. Did you know that? We have no 150 millimeter howitzers left. None. They're all over. We gave them all away. Biden said last spring, we're just going to make new ones. It's not a problem. They haven't even put the order in yet. The world is preparing for famine. The world is preparing for huge inflation. The world is preparing for shortages of energy, of food, of medical care. The world is on the verge of World War III, and we're depleting that as well. America, when did you lose your ability to think critically? Because this is not deep critical thinking. This is something my kids would understand. You would wake anybody up in the middle of the night and go, hey, these things are happening. The entire world is doing this. And we're just having a party. We're just arguing about transgender issues, having strip shows for our kids, and printing money like like it's going out of style. And we're giving all that money to things that constitutionally you don't have a right, while not taking care of our business at home. We're not going to have a 2024 election if we don't get past this 2022 election. We may not have a 2024 election, quite honestly, because there may not be anything left by 2024. I have never said those things to you before. I've always said, we'll save it in the end, blah, blah, blah. We are at the end here, gang. You have got to get everyone you know informed. They need to know. Just give them this last hour of the podcast. Just what I just did. Give them that and say, can you explain any of this? Can you explain any of it away? We are living in the normalcy bias. Nothing is normal. Nothing is normal. And yet so many people are going about their lives as if it is normal. It's not. No one is telling you to prepare. Our president says there's no recession coming. Bloomberg said yesterday, 100% guaranteed a recession is coming. That's even insane. We're in a recession. Nothing is normal. Don't act like it is. Prepare you and your family and everyone who will listen, because it is coming.
Now, whenever I've addressed you, whenever I've done a podcast, like I said, a lot of it, you may have your own opinions about the material that I cover. But honestly, a lot of the reasons, like I said, I cover these things are the things that I share. It's because I feel that it's things that you should know. And I question whether you are getting this information or not. That's why I prefaced playing this long 15-minute clip, which I don't normally do. I don't normally play something this lengthy for you. But honestly, after seeing this, after listening to it, after pondering it, I asked myself, how can I not share this? Because I know there's a good cross-section of people out there that will ignore this just because of the individual that's sharing it. And honestly, I can say with 100% confidence that would be to your detriment. That you couldn't take a moment, bite your, tongue, do whatever it is that you need to do to get past the fact that, it's Glenn Beck sharing this with you. And maybe ask the question, should I go and look into some of this? Does a lot of what he's saying, have I pieced some of this together already subconsciously? And I just didn't, want it to be true. Didn't want it to be real. It's not something I want to think about. And I take no pleasure, honestly, in sharing things with you that I think are deeply disturbing and troubling. And all of that is beyond disturbing and troubling. So I share it with you because, I asked the question. Like I said, the name of this particular podcast is, have you seen this? And in response, then, if you haven't, then why not? It's for the same reason that you don't get perspective when a news story is shared. You don't get all the details, all the ins and outs. If you watch enough mainstream media and you've done any digging on any particular topic that, maybe bothered you or you question whether that was truthful or not, I guarantee you after you did a little bit of digging, there was pieces of information that weren't shared with you. And, anybody who's still using their critical thinking brain has to ask themselves why. And we all know the answer, because there is a particular narrative that is being held on to by a majority of media out there. And they don't want you to know the truth about anything, or they don't want you digging around to find the truth on your own, which I encourage you do. So, as bleak and difficult as it was, I think, to hear some of that, I felt it was necessary to share it with you. And I've got some more to share with you, but honestly, for the sake of brevity, I think I'm going to take some of the things I was going to share in this particular podcast and put them into another podcast, something coming up, very shortly with, and not lengthy time away, but I want to break up some of this so that you can digest it in little pieces. I'm not, I'm small potatoes as far as what I'm doing here. I'm not a 3-hour program like some of these other individuals that want to share this information and get it out to you and hope that you will hang in there and digest it all. So my goal is to feed you a little bit, hopefully piece by piece, cut these podcasts down so you can consume them in bite-sized fashion, and we'll hang in there and listen. That's all I want. That's all I'm looking for, is that you would listen to this information and then do some digging on your own. You don't have to trust me. You don't have to trust me. But just ask yourself if any bit of what you hear that I share with you, the stories I share with you, the information I share with you, if any bit of that is true, how much does it affect you? Does it bother you? Should it bother you? Of course, my opinion, because I shared it with you, is yeah, it should bother you, and you should check into it. And I'm praying that I've rattled enough cage that you will do that. So let me share this, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so back again. Just wanted to share that commercial from my poetry book, The North Country Chronicles, Poetry and Prose from the Granite State. You can find that, yes, unfortunately, you need to type in that whole title, but you can find it on Amazon. You can find it at Barnes & Noble. I believe you can even find it on Target. So I would encourage you, if you'd like to support me, I'd appreciate that if you'd look that up. And, as this audience starts to grow, one of the things that I intend on doing for you small businesses out there, anybody that's looking for advertising and time, as the following here grows and it makes sense and becomes advantageous to both you and me, I'm going to be offering, live read commercials too at some point in time very soon. So if you'd like your business promoted on this program, you can reach out And you can find me on my Facebook page. There's a telephone number there. You can call that telephone number and reach out to me, and we can certainly have a discussion. So, like I said, it's right now we're in the mode of preserving Main Street, but my intent from the beginning has been restoring Main Street and the livelihood and, like I said, the idyllic picture that I still remember of my home city, my little town. So, and with my little town in mind, let me share this with you really quick. Coffee News Rochester. If you're a local resident, if you go on Facebook and please pull up Coffee News Rochester, anything that's happening in Rochester or even the surrounding area, if it makes relevance for the people of Rochester to know about this, my friend Gene Valley will share that on his page, and you can find out and get updated on all the goings on in the local area. Gene is a great supporter of this podcast, and I appreciate everything he does. And Coffee News Rochester is something you should check out, and I'd appreciate it if you would. And also, my friends at metalheadsrock.com. If you're into heavy metal rock and want the T-shirts and the sweatshirts and the mugs and anything else, jewelry, that type of thing, if you're into classic horror, whether it be Jason or Freddy, or any of those things, you can find all of that apparel, anything associated with that. You can find that at metalheadsrock.com. They also have a place out on Lafayette Road. So if you head out on Lafayette Road here in Portsmouth, heading towards Hampton, you will find the Metalheads shop. But online, please look for them at metalheadsrock.com. Great people, and do a little headbanging. Buy yourself a new T-shirt. That's my suggestion anyway. So, as I round out the end of this, like I said, I'm trying to shorten these things up so they're not quite so lengthy, and I hope you can appreciate that. Please do me a favor. Like I said, take a look at what I'm sharing. Think about the discussion. Think about the video that you just saw, and go research, check it out. It's only to your benefit, and that's all I'm trying to do is create awareness and get people to ask questions. Because honestly, if we don't all stick together, as bad as things potentially look like they can get, they're going to get even worse if we don't stick together as a community, as neighbors, as friends, and support each other. And the more information you know, the better decisions you can make. So those are the things that I wanted and prefer to share with you. So, and as you probably already know, you can find this podcast on Rumble. You can find it on BitChute. You can find it on Gab TV. I would prefer that you go to one of those three avenues, either Gab TV, Rumble, or BitChute, to view my content. I will continue to post to YouTube for as long as I can until I get into a topic that ruffles their feathers and I start getting strikes and all of a sudden I disappear from YouTube. But honestly, if you have an understanding of what's happening with online media, with the big names out there and the censorship that's going on, I would prefer, again, please go to Gab TV, look up Restoring Main Street. Go to BitChute, look up Restoring Main Street, or go to Rumble and check me out on one of those three platforms. I really appreciate it. And you'll also find me on a lot of the social media platforms as well. I have a MeWe account, a Gab account, Getter, Instagram, Parler, and Truth Social. So you can find me there as well. So in an effort for brevity, but also in an effort to keep us all on hopefully a strong and important mindset, I always leave you with this, and that's the idea of God, freedom, and family. Because if we lose the first two, if we lose our faith and we lose our freedom, our families are truly doomed. So thanks again for tuning in. Like I said, I will pump out the next podcast quickly because I have a couple other things I want to share with you, but I'm going to feed you bit by bit so that you can stay interested. And as always, I want to thank you for your time, and God bless.